What up, dog? Sorry for being late, Lou Jenkins. Sure, just got through shoveling the snow. You know what I'm saying? It's snowing outside. It's been snowing all day, so I was in and out of the house making sure it was good. One person, hope all is well. Can you hear me clear? What's going on? Kiss my cheeks, respect to your sister. You know, uh, it's been Angelo. What's good with it, bro? Hope all is well with you this evening, bro. It's been a wild day. It's been snowing all day, so you know what I'm saying. Like I said, I've been in and out of the house shoveling snow, making sure you know, uh, my house is cool. My neighbors is good. Make sure everybody all right out there. So I know it's about to be snowing all over the East Coast. So everybody who out there, what I'm saying, everybody who out there, who about to get that snow, make sure you get your salt and stuff. You know what I'm saying? If you in like one of those countries, what I'm saying, all the way in the country, make sure you put your chains on your tires. Make sure you get some salt, and if you ain't got salt, put some sand down. You know what I'm saying? If you got some elders around you, make sure they, what I'm saying, you take care of them and everything. Make sure they good, and you know, just make sure you take care of the people. Can you hear me though, Angelo? You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure I'm clear and ain't everything ain't all messed up. I'm good. My tablet is the tablet is kind of messed up right now. I just want to get a mic. Can I get a mic check for somebody real quick? A one or two? What up, though? Something real quick, so I know that I'm good. Yeah. Shit, I don't know if my mic. Oh, my mic look good. It sound like I look like y'all here. All right, appreciate it. Kiss my cheeks. So, what I'm saying. I want to this is something that I've been I was studying along. I studied a few years ago, and this is somebody that I came across when I was I was going through some stuff. Oh yeah, what up, dog? Fatty, appreciate you. So you know I I was studying. Man, how what up, though? I hope everybody's all well. Like I said, y'all, hey, it's about to be a storm on the East Coast, so I hope everybody like I say, y'all looking out for each other and yourselves and everything. So you know, yeah, that snow out there, that shit, that snow is yeah, I got to unblock 27 too. I got 27, but yeah, it's yeah, it snow is a madhouse. So, but yeah, a few years ago, I came across this book. I was reading. I was doing a lot of reading when a few years ago. I don't read as much anymore, but it's this Japanese warrior that I came across. I'm into studying, psychology, human behavior, um, you know, a little bit of some history, some stuff like that. And oh, you true seven man, huh? Oh shit, you ain't blocked. Okay, my bad. When they say true seven, I be thinking like I got somebody blocked and shit. Okay, my bad. Well, yeah, I'm glad you ain't blocked. Shit, cause I'm like true seven. I don't see true seven. But anyway, so unfortunately something happened. My friend passed away. My friend was taken from me or whatever, and I had went through something, so I had stopped doing my reading and stuff like that. But it was something that I had learned peace. I learned how to be calm. I learned how to be in better control of my emotions. And when I lost my friend, I all of the stuff that I was going through, like as far as my mental state, it was I started allowing people to um affect my emotions. Like I would instantly react when, disrespect, or I would try to prove myself and everything. And I was going through that for a minute, and then, after my sons, I started, it got even worse. So, over these past couple of months, I had started getting back in, I was getting back into where I'm supposed to be. Mika, respect to you, sister. Yeah. I'm on. Oh, you saying kiss my cheeks be good? Man, see, respect to you. I hope everybody having a good evening. Y'all get ready for this snow if y'all on the East Coast. But so basically, I, recently going over these, getting into these little confrontations with people, I started to remember that I had been training myself. You know what I'm saying? So I started I started getting back into my focus, and then I started reading, and then I came across this video, and it was like, yeah, I read this book. So it's a book called The Five Rings. You know what I'm saying? It was written by, it's from the notes of this guy named Miyamoto Musashi. He's a Japanese swordsman or Japanese philosopher, swordsman. You know what I'm saying? He was a lot of things in one, and it was some things that he came, like his philosophy, was kind of in alignment with what my dad and my granddad taught me when I was coming up. So I don't want people to think just because I'm oh yeah. Hey, y'all know, hey, just block them offender supporters. They if they support, y'all see them supporting a sex offender or whatever, block them. We don't support stuff like that over here. So, but anyway, so I started getting back into my mode, and after I've read that book. I've read The Five Rings. I read The Art of War. I read a lot of different books that that dealt with you know my oh yeah. It's all good. I'm just reading the chat. Yeah. I'm starting to pick up on everything. I'm getting better, y'all. So I'm getting into these little arguments with these people on YouTube. It started, after I saw a couple videos, and started back reading and stuff like that. So it got me into, back into my studies. So I'm back into reading and back in being into my calm and into my, you know, myself. So basically, a lot of the way that this world been moving is that reacting to how people, you know, how people engage you. You know what I'm saying? It's just because you don't respond aggressive don't mean that you're weak. I think that the person who has more control or more calm is in more control of the situation, and that's what I'm learning. That's why it's like, when people been saying, "Oh, you weak, you this, you that," and it's like, no, like I'm actually strong because I'm maintaining, my bearing and who I am. And I know sometimes I've been snapping, but I'm getting back to who I am. So, I'm gonna just go ahead and play this video, and I'm gonna give my commentary because this is something that I think is important, for what's going on right now, and the um the people who maintain their bearing is the one who has the power. So we'll go ahead and, if y'all can see the screen, they say you can only fight the way you practice. So for a long time, I've been practicing martial arts swordsmanship and throwing knives and cleaning guns. Like I could put a gun together with my eyes closed. So I've been practicing that way, but I started practicing a new way of life because I was at a place of peace. So I'm gonna get started. Let me know if y'all can hear this video. I'm gonna press play real quick. I'm gonna turn my camera off. Oh yeah, hey, and everybody, hey, if y'all got a shot or something, get some. I'm gonna get everybody like about 10 seconds to 20, 30 seconds to get some. Take a shot with me, because what I'm saying, this video not even that long. This video is 9 minutes. It's not even that long. So I'm gonna get everybody. Let's take a shot together. Let's chill and have some fun. I can't drop the link until the 26th because they said YouTube only gave me. They said something about my minutes or something like that. So once that get to 26 is when I could drop the link, and I'll be talking about, I'm gonna just be bringing different topics to it, and we're gonna have some fun on this motherfucker. We're gonna bring the fun back. So you know, 10 seconds and 10, 20 seconds up. Cheers, everybody. Woo. Cheers. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn my camera off because the artwork that I got runs along with that. All right, so let me know if y'all can hear it real quick. Let me get a,
There's a demon living inside you, not the cartoonish red creature with...
Can y'all hear that? Hey, look, and don't judge before you know what I'm saying? Don't judge before you just hear it out first. Did y'all hear that though? Did y'all hear that when I played it? It's important what's going on. So, well, it ain't important, but you know what I mean. Did y'all hear that? Okay. Sam, what up?
There's a demon living inside you, not the cartoonish red creature with horns, something worse, something human, something familiar. It's the anger you feed, the rage that simmers in your gut when someone disrespects you, the burning...
Okay, so y'all can relate. Y'all know, if y'all know me long enough, y'all know this apply to me. Maybe you.
in your chest when things don't go your way. It's the part of you that explodes, ruins relationships, makes you weak, and you keep feeding it. But what if I told you there was a way to kill it, to bury it, to walk through fire with calm eyes while everyone else is screaming?
Okay, so basically that's the first reaction that you feel when the disrespect comes. You know, you start the fire.
Miyamoto Musashi, arguably the most dangerous man to ever walk Japan, did just that. He wasn't just a swordsman, he was a war machine wrapped in silence. He fought over 60 life-or-death duels and never lost. Not because he was the fastest, not because he was the strongest, but because he was emotionless in battle. This isn't some fairy tale. This is how one man destroyed anger and became a legend. And now you'll learn his way. 1.
Okay, so basically, he was just a regular person who was going through Japan, and he basically became a martial artist, a swordsman. He was doing that. I believe it was, I want to say 1600s. I'm not for sure. Don't quote me on the time because it's been a minute since I read the book. But y'all can see what's on the screen right now. I say anger is a puppet string, and you're the toy.
Anger is a puppet string and you're the toy. Let's be brutally honest. Anger doesn't always make you powerful. It makes you owned. Every time you lash out, every time you explode, every time someone pushes your buttons and you react, you're showing your cards. You're telling the world exactly how to control you.
And that's what, and that's what most of us do when we come against adversity. We automatically go into our human instinct, and our human instinct is to fight. It's just normal. It's a normal thing that we do, even as a child. Even as children when we young. Like when something happened to us, we just automatically result to the the violence and aggression. So you think about it. Gets my cheeks. I might think about that. It's I didn't know how it was gonna go. I didn't know it was gonna work out like this.
Musashi understood this early on. He realized anger wasn't strength. It was a chain, a leash, a predictable reflex that made men easy to manipulate. Marcus Aurelius said, "When you are disturbed by external things, it is not they that trouble you, but your own judgment of them." Read that again. Because if someone can make you angry, they can make you do anything. You're not in control. You're just a puppet, and your strings are your emotions. Musashi.
So basically, that's what a lot of these people that try to antagonize you in chats and stuff, this is like their game plan. This is their way to get a reaction out of you, because a lot of these people that who troll you and taunt you and provoke you, these people are energy vampires. They're trying to take the energy that you have from you, and your reaction to their BS is how they feed. That's their energy. Their energy is often taken from you because you are the one who have the energy, and your reaction is their life force.
She cut those strings. He trained himself to become immune to provocation, to walk into battle with the same stillness you'd expect from a monk. No matter what insult came his way, no matter how brutal the fight, he was always watching, always cold. Not because he lacked emotions, but because he refused to be controlled by them. Real strength isn't how hard you hit, it's how impossible you are to provoke. That's what made Musashi terrifying. Not his sword, not his size, not his speed, his unpredictability, his void. A man with no emotional triggers is a man you can't manipulate, threaten, or break. And that is real power.
Um, investment.
2.
Okay, so that was very important. You know, um, when you can't be controlled and you're not in your feelings, you are unstoppable. These people. It's like when you don't respond the way that they want. What I'm saying, it shows them that you have the power. To maintain, and it's just they are the puppet master. They want KD. What up, though? What's good with it? Hope all is well and you're having a good evening. So like I said, your if you can control your emotions, you are in power of everything. Self and the things around you. You can manipulate the world around you because you can't be manipulated. The world is in your hands.
The day Musashi killed anger. There's a story, not many know it. When Musashi was still young, barely out of his teens, he challenged one of the finest swordsmen in Japan, Arima Kihei. Arima was skilled, confident, formal. He expected a duel with swords. Musashi.
Okay, so that's the dude that's the dude that they just said. He's the guy that's the peacock, the dude that's well known. Everybody know him, and he's feared and respected and revered, and people look at him like he's like untouchable and undefeatable. Like he's like they do with the people that talk the most, that do the most talking and most hollering and cussing, and that the peacock, the guy that show that seems like he has everything together, the one who talks like he has everything together. So you see on the words right there, say he showed up with a wooden stick.
She showed up hard with a wooden stick. Arima mocked him, laughed, taunted. Most men would have cracked, thrown a punch, reacted emotionally. Musashi just watched, still, quiet, calculating. Then he struck hard, fast, and then killed his opponent. No rage, no screaming, no theatrics, just brutal, cold execution. Musashi didn't fight with emotion. He fought with awareness. He fought like death itself. Anger is not strength. True power is found in control.
So the guy came at Musashi and he had a wooden stick, and the Musashi didn't overreact. He didn't get in his emotions. he just struck with a fatal blow, and that fatal blow was let me see if we can. I said crazy. Yeah, so he struck him with a deadly blow because the guy underestimated his opponent because maybe Musashi didn't look like, he didn't have any flashy clothes and he didn't have, he came with a wooden stick and probably was looking like a bum, and they looked down on him because he came and challenged the swordsman and he didn't look the part. So they underestimated him and the underestimation cost him his life.
3. The psychology of the blade. Musashi didn't just swing swords, he studied the mind. He controlled his anger. He wrote, "Do nothing which is of no use." Anger, if not used right, it's almost always useless. You think it helps you win arguments? It just shows you're weak.
And that's a lot of what these people do when they argue on panels. They scream and holler and overtalk you, and they think that that gives them, the upper hand or they're winning because, their overbearingness is, giving them an advantage over you. And that just shows that, they have to make a scene to make themselves feel like they're winning.
You think it helps you in conflict? It makes your enemies smile. They know they've already got you. The mind is like a blade. When you let it rust with emotion, it dulls. But when you keep it still, sharp, silent, it cuts through anything. 4.
Okay, so sharpening weapons, my swords and my blades, it's a skill. It's something that I was taught when I was young because my grandfather always taught me that you can't get your prey if you have a dull weapon because it's going to bounce off of it. So you always keep your weapon sharp and steady, and you swing with a purpose. Whenever you shoot an arrow or whatever move you make, it has to be precise and it has to be for purpose.
Why you get angry and why you'll keep losing. Let's make this personal. Why do you get angry? Someone insults you? Life feels unfair? Someone cuts you off in traffic? Here's the harsh truth. You get angry because you think you're entitled to control things you were never meant to control.
And that is a statement right there. People feel that the world owes them something. It's like, you know, people feel like if they do something, they should get acknowledgement, or they feel like they should get something in return for their act. And that's what a lot of these people are doing.
You think the world owes you respect. You think other people should behave the way you want. You think life should be fair. Musashi would say, you are attached, and attachment is the root of suffering. Musashi trained himself to expect nothing from the world. He walked alone, slept in the dirt. He trained not just his body, but his soul to be untouchable. No comfort, no luxury, no illusion of control. And because of that, no one could anger him.
So when you have an attachment to something, you know you can be provoked. Like you can be provoked if you're attached to something. Like how people attach to material things. Like if someone is attached to something that's material, if, say for instance, they're bragging about something material like a car or clothes or something like that, or their money. When you look at it like it's nothing, they get offended because what they have is only material. It's nothing that's tangible. That's for the inside. It's just the outside for the appearance. It's not for the. It's not for the is not for the inside. It's not for your spirit. It's for you. It's for the you know to impress others, basically. You know.
5. Training the void, Musashi's practice of emptiness. You don't beat anger by screaming into a pillow or doing 100 push-ups. You beat it by training your mind like a blade. Here's how Musashi did it. Voluntary hardship. Musashi slept outside, ate little, avoided fame and fortune. He believed comfort made the mind weak, and a weak mind is easily triggered.
Let me know this way.
Try this. Pick one comfort and cut it. Cold showers, no sugar, no social media. Whatever makes you squirm, kill it. Get addicted to discomfort. You'll realize most of your anger was just entitlement in disguise. No reaction is the ultimate weapon. Musashi would go silent for hours, days even, while training. He trained himself to observe without reacting. Next time someone insults you, pause. Don't reply. Don't defend. Just watch them. The power shifts instantly. You'll feel it. Meditate on death. Every morning, Musashi.
Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit on that. So that statement about being too comfortable. When you get too comfortable, you know, you forget the struggle. You forget how, the real reactions of life. You lose your sharpness. You lose your ability to see when things are coming because you're so you got comfortable and complacent with life, and it's easy. You become easy to conquer because you're comfortable. You know.
Reacting. Next time someone insults you, pause. Don't reply. Don't defend. Just watch them. The power shifts instantly. You'll feel it. Meditate on death. Every morning, Musashi meditated on his own death. Why? Because a man who isn't afraid to die can't be rattled by anything less.
And that's something that's a philosophy that my grandfather and my father taught me is that you know time is not forever, and you don't have all the time in the world. So when, like I said, when I was on Anthony's panel yesterday, I said that I respect that, and I welcome it because I know that one day my time is going to come, so I don't fear it. I respect it. I said when my time comes, I've earned it because I've lived life and I've watched people around me, been taken away from me and just natural causes or, through violence. I've accepted that one day my time is going to come. So I have to, it's nothing that I fear, because I don't fear that because I respect it because one day is coming. So I have to face it. So there's no fear, you know. So if it's nothing that I fear, not even death or God, that means that I can't be manipulated. And I've been allowing people to manipulate my emotions because I've been responding. But these are things that I've already known and just forgot for a moment, but now I remember.
Musashi wrote, "Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. Anger fades when death becomes your companion. What's a traffic jam or rude comment compared to the void? 6. Kill the..."
Yeah, so that's just like I said, like once you realize that death is the only thing that can defeat you, there's nothing else to fear.
Ego. Kill the fire. At its core, anger is ego wearing a mask. You don't get angry because the world is cruel. You get angry because your image is under attack. You get mad when your pride is bruised. Someone dares to challenge your worth.
And that was my problem. Me specifically. I don't know who else this applies to, but me specifically, my image was tarnished and my name and my reputation. And I felt like I had to disprove what I didn't need to disprove. All I had to do was just be myself and everything would have fell into place. But I was lost, you know?
You feel unseen, disrespected, or dismissed. But here's the truth Musashi understood better than anyone. Ego is a weakness disguised as importance, and the more you feed it, the more fragile you become. Musashi's solution: kill the ego, burn it, starve it, leave its bones behind. He didn't care if people liked him, didn't care if his name echoed through history, didn't cling to praise, validation, or status. He didn't wear fancy clothes. He didn't chase approval. He didn't smile for the crowd because he knew this. The more you crave recognition, the easier it is to control you.
And with that, you notice a lot of people not worth it. Respect to you, bro. What's good with it? So you see how a lot of these people, you know, when they're, when they're on these panels and they screaming and hollering, and they screaming and hollering, and the crowd is, yay, they giving them praise. You know what I'm saying? That's feeding their ego. So once you stop feeding their ego, then you become their enemy. You know what I'm saying? Because their ego is what makes them who they are. So when they get on these panels and they doing all this screaming and hollering and people, cheering in the background, yeah, get them, get them, get them. This is what's making them feel important and feeling valuable. Like they're being validated in the things that they're doing because they need this. They need their ego filled up, because they can't do it themselves because they don't have it within.
The more you attach your identity to how others see you, the more power they have to break you. Musashi walked like a shadow through the world, detached, free, silent. He lived like a ghost because he understood one thing: a man with nothing to prove is a man no one can provoke.
And that's what I'm getting back to, is that I don't need to be liked. I don't need approval. I don't need any of that because I have enough within myself to be who I am and be okay. I don't need the validation of others to feel important or valuable because I am valuable. I have the value. I have enough value when I go around other people. I can bring my value to add to their value and we can be a force together.
You kill the ego, insults become noise, criticism becomes information, rejection becomes irrelevant, and anger, it dies. Because there's nothing left to defend. You want to become untouchable? Don't build thicker armor, burn the ego that needs protecting. Because the warrior with no pride left to wound is the one you should fear the most.
And that's what I try to tell people, is that the most dangerous person is the one without fear, is the one without, excuse me, the man without fear, the one who doesn't need validation and the one who doesn't need the respect of others because he's the great inside of himself.
7. The final duel, Musashi versus Sasaki Kojiro. Let's end with this. Musashi's most legendary duel was with Sasaki Kojiro. Kojiro was a master, a national celebrity, fast, elegant, deadly. Musashi arrived hours late, not because he was lazy, but because he wanted Kojiro angry, frustrated, unbalanced. Kojiro was boiling with rage.
Okay, so this is like the last duel that he ever had, and I believe he was in his 50s or 60s. So he was up in age during this time. What's up, Lance? What's good with it, bro? Yeah, yeah, for sure not worth it. So basically, this was his last duel. He was in his 50s or 60s, and basically he challenged one of the best swordsmen during that time, and they were supposed to meet on the island. So they had a certain time. I think it was like sunrise or something like that. So the guy Kajiro was the guy that went to the island. He was on the island, just he's like, I'm gonna beat the greatest swordsman because back in the day, The swordman was something that was like it was like reputation. Your sword that took great warriors was your reputation, and that was like their currency of social status. Their sword. So Kajiro, this guy right here, was on the island. He was on the island for hours, just waiting. And Musashi waited, and he waited and waited, and he arrived. He arrived late, and you're about to see what it is. So basically, he was provoking his emotions.
Musashi stepped off his boat calm as a stone, holding a wooden sword carved from an oar. Kojiro lunged, furious. Musashi, still, calculated. One blow, Kojiro dropped dead. That's what anger gets you. 8. Musashi.
With a sword carved from an oar. So I'm gonna give a little backstory to that. So on the way on this island, because it was an island that they were on, and he carved it out of the ore. But the ore, he yeah, the ore that you push the boat with. So what he did was he did like an illusion. He carved the ore into like a curve. So the curve was so deceptive that it was he curved it, but it was extra long. You know what I'm saying? It was extra long, but it's just by looking at it, he looked at it and thought it was a regular size of the sword. So when Kojiro lunged at him and attacked him, he swung the oar and bashed him in the head and killed him with one blow. Not because it wasn't the speed and the power, of it was the deception of the curve. So he had like another foot and a half of 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 length that he could reach out. So when he swung it, it was longer than he anticipated, and he got within the distance and knocked him upside his head and took him out one blow.
Musashi's way, the modern code. This isn't about pretending to be a samurai. It's about adopting their core, emptiness, detachment, precision, silence. If you want to stop being angry, stop reacting, start watching, stop expecting, start detaching, stop screaming, start sharpening. And remember, the quieter you are, the deadlier you become. The way of the warrior is resolute acceptance of death. Another quote by Musashi. When you no longer fear discomfort, when you stop needing others to act how you want, when you stare death in the face and laugh, there is no anger left, only stillness, only power. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.
All right, so basically, this is a part of my world. Like I study stuff like this. And the last fight that Musashi had, it was really something that it was just something that really made me think about how to interact with people. Like these people cuss, scream, and holler, and do all of this other stuff, and all you have to do is just be calm. Relax. Let them scream and holler. Like a wooden oar against a steel sword. You know, the way that he played the mind game, he already assumed victory because Kajiro was in his emotions. As soon as he got off the boat, he's like, he had been waiting on this island for hours. I mean, it could have been, I think it was, I'm not for sure. It could have been more than 8 hours because by the time Musashi came, the sun was setting. But he played with his mind and he made him, he was all, Kojiro already thought that he was the greatest swordsman, and he had the advantage because he was there, he was on his territory, and everything else, and he got defeated by a wooden sword. And this sword was, like I said, it was deceptively long, but he couldn't tell, and he ran right into his death, and all of it was because of his anger. And this is what I'm starting to practice now. Whenever people get to screaming and hollering, I'm gonna just pull out my wooden oar, and it's gonna be one quick swoop. And I'm not talking about physical violence. I'm just saying the mind game part. I got another video, but I'm gonna go ahead and wait for another time to put that one up. I don't want to bore y'all because this ain't what the sector be talking about. So I wanted to just show just what welcome to my world. You know what I'm saying? This is something that I study. I study stuff like this. And it's a more like I say, it's more videos like this that I want to talk about because it applies to the sector. It applies to what's going on because I appreciate that, not worth it. Like people say I don't have content, so I want to show that I have something to offer to the sector, even if it's not beef. Because you know I'm a warrior. I was born a warrior. My grandfather was in the wars. My dad was in the wars. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see war, but I've been battle tested, and I've been through some things in life, and I want people to know that like it's a difference between a lot of us, and some of us are warriors, and some of us are the peacock. You know, it's like some people want to be seen and heard, and be the most popular and like the most, and this I'm not, I mean, shit. Y'all see what I look like? I wear hoodies. I don't cut my hair all the time. I don't shave my face all the time. I'm not, I'm not the most articulate person, but I do, I try to carry myself as who I am. You know what I'm saying? And I was always told that being yourself is the greatest ability that you have, and pretending to be something that you're not is a sin because you're going against your natural, who you are naturally. So I just wanted to drop this. I don't want to make this too long, but what I'm saying, I appreciate y'all for coming out, and I'm gonna do some more stuff like this, and I'm gonna have some more topics, different topics to talk about. But I just wanted to share something that I learned, that I've been learning since I was a young man. And why you had this? Why I had to say peacock? Oh yeah, cause hey, look, hey, I'm using it as an animal reference that cause Sim, the peacock is the bird that when it's time for it to mate, it shows its feathers. And the bigger the feathers are, the more prettier that it look, it's easier for them to get a mate or get someone. So it's the same thing as a dude that do a lot of talking and a lot of showing off, and a lot of bragging and stuff like that. That's them showing their feathers to to get the attention of other people because they don't have. Hey, I try. I use animal reference because I'm a hunter. So to understand your prey, you have to watch them. You have to watch their behavior. You have to watch they. What I'm saying. You have to watch how they move. Their routes if they go. You have to track them. Sometimes you have to watch their behavior, how they interact with each other. So I've been out in the wilderness a few times, so I'm I have to. I use we're just a higher form of animal anyway. So I use animal as reference. You know, yeah, because it's like in certain situations, if you know how animals move, you can see how people move. Because like I say, we the higher form of animal, the highest form of animal. So once you know how animal moves, you can relate a person to an animal. That's why I say peacock, because peacocks are harmless. You know what I'm saying? They're prey. You know what I'm saying? But when they're that's what a lot of these people are that get on these panels, and they brag about their money, they brag about their cars, they brag about everything that they have, and that's a form of peacock. So it's that's the animal that I can relate to. That it's a lot of birds that do that. It's another bird that feathers aren't so small, aren't so big, but they dance around, and they pull their feathers up, or they stick their chests out, like they do it. Different birds do different things, but it's almost the same thing when they're trying to show off for another person, and mainly it's showing their feathers. So that's how I relate to a lot of these people that birds. A lot of these people that do all that. I mean, you notice that a lot of these motherfuckers be, you know, a lot of the people that do all of this showing their feathers off and shit like that, them the dudes that be going at the women. It's like they're competing with the women for attention. You know, yeah, not worth it, soft as fuck. Yeah, they're prey. They're not hunters. They're I don't like using that word predator, because I associate that with you know something that ain't good. You know, so they're prey. A lot of these dudes that do the peacocking, they're birds. That's why they antagonize women. They go after people that they think are weaker than them. And when they come against somebody that's you know mentally tough, or more mentally tough than them, they have to resort you know to showing their feathers. You know. But yeah, like I say, I appreciate y'all for coming out, and I hope that this content was this me sharing a part of my life with y'all is something that could be useful to your own life. And I'll do another one. Let's see, all colorful. So all yeah, the males. Hey, exactly. Sim, now you know. Now, I mean, well, you already knew what I was talking about, but you see what I'm talking about. Most of those, most of the, most of the women, what I'm saying, the women of the animal kingdom, what I'm saying, they're, what I'm saying, they're not as attractive, like especially with birds. When it comes to the ones that are pretty are the males. What I'm saying, and it's the opposite in with humans. What I'm saying, it's the opposite with us. What I'm saying, like the women are the ones that's beautiful, and we the ugly ones. What I'm saying, but when it comes to like animals and stuff like that, they are you know yeah. Hey Sim, it's weird, bro, but you know what, that's what comes from learning, what I'm saying, from animals. Yeah, what I'm saying, that's what coming from studying animals. What I'm saying, you learn that, what I'm saying, most of the most beautiful things in nature are dangerous. What I'm saying, and it's mostly the male. Like like if, like I say, I watch a lot of stuff. Animals tracking, hunting, stuff like that. That's within my realm, so I know a little bit about it, so I can talk about it. But I can talk about a lot of stuff. I'm not well versed in a lot of stuff, but the things that I'm well versed in, I get it. Yeah, I like I said, y'all see what's going on in the sector, and a lot of this applies to the sector, because a lot of these people, like I said, they have to show off to feel important. They have to scream and shout and brag about the things that they have, but what I'm saying, these people wouldn't survive without the validation of others. That's why, what I'm saying, if people started actually stop paying attention and stop caring about what they did, what I'm saying, it would kill everything, their ego, it would kill it all. They wouldn't have nothing to stand on because they're more focused on what you think about them. That's why lately when people antagonize me, I just laugh. Sometimes I agree with them. Like, oh, like, oh, you a bitch ass nigga. Like, yep, I sure am. And like, I'm not trying to win. I'm just trying to diffuse the situation so it don't go into a dark place. And that's mainly what I'm about. Like I said, I don't try to show off. I'm not. I'm just a regular person who do regular things, and I just happen to network with the right people where I can make moves and shit. And I put myself in position to be able to move like a shadow and a ghost because I don't like to move and people see me. Sometimes I like to move and no one sees me. I'm one of those people that could disappear in a crowd. Because you know I'm not seeking attention. But yeah, everybody have a great evening. Love, peace, happiness. Positivity. All the good things in life. You focus on the positive, you become stronger, faster, better. Some negative in your life, address it once, then let it go because the positive is go it's gonna heal everything. It's gonna make everything better. So I appreciate y'all for coming out. Have a great evening. When the snow, hey, look, I'm gonna say it again. I know I said it about 40 times already, but the snow coming up. If y'all stay on somewhere where it's about to snow, prepare for it. What I'm saying? Make sure you got everything in order, everything that you got that you need so you don't have to go out into it. If you got some elderly people that's close to you, make sure they safe, what I'm saying? And do everything that you can, and hey, do it the right way. Y'all have a great evening. Love y'all. Peace.